I never thought I'd write that sentence in my mind. My own daughter encouraged my wife to cheat. Yet here I was, stunned, furious, and horrified all at once. It started subtly, almost innocently, like a joke no one could have predicted would spiral into total betrayal. It began with small remarks from my daughter. She was 15, opinionated, and bold beyond her years. At first, I thought her comments were playful, harmless teenage exaggerations. "Mom should have some fun," she said one afternoon, tossing her hair as if the idea itself were revolutionary. "It'll boost her woman energy," she giggled, tapping her temple. I frowned. I didn't comment, choosing instead to observe quietly. But soon, the playful suggestion became more insistent. She would tease, prod, and casually mention how her mother deserved more excitement, more adventure, hinting at flirtations and opportunities that I would have considered inappropriate. At first, I was angry at my daughter for even joking about such things. But beneath the annoyance, an unease settled in my stomach. Something didn't feel right. Then I noticed the changes in my wife. She became distant, her phone constantly in hand, always texting, smiling at messages I wasn't privy to. Her laughter, once warm and inclusive, became secretive, private, and sometimes guilt-laced, but always quickly masked when I entered the room. One evening, I caught her texting late at night. The message preview flashed across the screen. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Your energy makes me happy." My heart sank, not just because of the words themselves, but because of who the sender was. A man I didn't know, one of her friends she never mentioned. I confronted her gently, trying to maintain calm. "Who is this?" I asked, keeping my voice even. "Oh, it's nothing," she said, brushing me off. "Just someone from work. You're overthinking." I didn't press, but the suspicion gnawed at me. Over the next few weeks, I monitored more discreetly, uncovering texts, late-night meetings, and photos of dinners she claimed were work events. Meanwhile, I noticed my daughter's encouragement in subtle ways. Comments like, "It's fine, Mom. You deserve happiness. Sometimes you need to explore it outside of home." I was shocked, not just at my wife's betrayal, but at my child's manipulation. It was as if my daughter had decided her mother's desire, or rather, excuse for desire, was more important than our family's foundation. I knew I needed evidence, patience, precision. Anger alone would destroy more than just my wife. It would shatter the family irrevocably before I could act. So I collected everything: screenshots, photos, emails, locations, receipts, every small proof of meetings, texts, and the growing connection that shouldn't have existed. I documented her betrayal meticulously, even recording conversations when I could do so legally. The day I confronted them was calculated. I invited both my wife and daughter into the living room, making sure no one else was present. I sat calmly, showing them the evidence I had gathered. Their eyes widened as they realized their secret orchestration was exposed. My daughter's bravado vanished immediately. My wife, the one who had flaunted her secret confidence, paled. "You encouraged her?" I asked my daughter quietly, but with controlled fury. "You convinced her this was acceptable?" I, I thought she needed to feel alive," she stammered, her voice trembling. "And you, after 16 years of vows, think this is acceptable behavior?" I turned to my wife. "You let her influence you. You allowed betrayal into our family. You destroyed trust." The silence that followed was deafening. My daughter realized the magnitude of her actions. My wife realized she was cornered. There was no excuse, no manipulation that could undo the evidence. I began the legal process immediately. Divorce proceedings were filed. Custody arrangements for my daughter and younger child were planned meticulously. Financial protections were put in place to ensure that no one could manipulate the situation further. The home, our shared life, and the stability I had fought to protect were now my priorities. The revenge wasn't about humiliation. It wasn't about yelling or making a scene. It was about ensuring accountability, demonstrating that betrayal, even when encouraged by a child, has consequences. My wife had learned brutally that no excuse could justify her actions. My daughter had learned just as harshly that manipulation comes at a cost. Weeks later, my wife had moved out. My daughter was remorseful, her attempts at manipulation replaced by understanding and guilt. Slowly, I rebuilt the family structure, with boundaries clearer than ever. Trust would take time to restore, but it was possible with honesty and accountability. The lesson was brutal but necessary. Betrayal, no matter how justified in one's mind, leaves scars. Encouragement from even the closest family members does not excuse the consequences of choice. And sometimes, revenge isn't about anger. It's about measured action, reclaiming control, and making sure those who tried to manipulate your life understand that their decisions have real, lasting impact. By the end, the home was quiet again, the children safe, and the family slowly healing, not because forgiveness came quickly, but because justice, truth, and deliberate action had restored balance. And in that silence, I finally felt control, finally felt peace, finally felt that my family, though scarred, could survive betrayal and emerge stronger.